everyone. I am actually out at Westchester Park today to do your community update. I'm here with your field deputy, Trey Grogan, and I just wanted to take a minute and remind everyone of what this park was like in 2021 and 2022. You'll all remember this was a sprawling encampment and ground zero of the homelessness crisis here in CD11. Not long after I took office, we implemented our city's Safe Schools and Parks Ordinance, Section 4118, right here at Westchester Park. And that's a tool that we've been able to use to help keep this park safe and free of tent encampments. Doesn't mean that occasionally somebody doesn't come through and try to put up a tent or a camp, but it gives us the ability to let folks know they can't actually do that here in this park. Trey, we've done a lot of work just to beautify the park as well. You remember we had the military out here over Fleet Week. What did we do with them?
Yeah, so over Fleet Week, we had the military and some community partners here. We actually planted over a dozen trees throughout Westchester Park, which has been a long-standing request for some of our community members here. So you can see they're dotted around, and when they grow, they're going to be able to provide shade and just some needed beautification for the area.
Well, things are looking really good right now. Remember when I took office, there was no programming at all here at the senior center at Westchester Park. I've worked really hard to restore all of that, and our senior center is actually thriving again. Trey, I think we have some security improvements coming too.
That is true. We have worked with the senior center and rec and parks on installing some additional security cameras around the senior center. So we will have several new cameras that will give us basically a 360 view around the entire senior center. We are also going to make sure that the folks in the senior center have access to a monitor so they can view those cameras themselves. That's something we've been working on with them for several months.
So we're over here at the parking lot by the Westchester pool. And, you know, Trey, we've had some persistent issues here. So talk to us a little bit about what we're doing to address those problems.
Right, yeah. So in addition to the tent encampments around the park, one of the more complex issues we've dealt with have been RVs and vehicle dwellers in our parking lots at the park. So we have worked really hard to deploy resources to get as many of those vehicles out of the park as possible, but it has remained a problem. So what we have done is coordinate with LAPD, DOT, and the park rangers on a pool lot task force. So we have made sure that they are all out here and able to cite and enforce vehicles for being in the lot after hours. In addition to that, we have worked with Rec and Parks to install these boulders, some bollards, to make sure that there's no way for vehicles to drive out of the parking lot into the park, which messes up irrigation and just tears up the lawn.
We are making some real progress out here and looks really good today. So Trey, over here by Otis College, we have had some persistent RV issues in the neighborhood. I know you and I were just out recently talking to neighbors. Share a little bit about some of the interventions that we're using over here. Looks pretty good right now.
Yeah, so, I mean, as you know, vehicle dwelling is one of our biggest challenges that we continue to deal with across Westchester. We have been able to implement some creative solutions, some parking restrictions around Otis as well as around Bristol Farms over here. So we definitely have seen a reduction in the number of RVs in the area in the last year, about 40% actually. We know there are still some that remain in some of these areas behind Otis, but we are actively working on solutions to offer those folks services, get them off the street, and return those streets back to people.
And I know we're talking to Metro about some possible bike infrastructure around Otis College too, so
that is
more
true.
to come. We're now down at Lincoln and Westchester Parkway, and those of you familiar with this area will know that there is an encampment just south of here towards the airport. So that encampment actually originally tried to set up in Westchester Park, and we were able to use 4118 to remove them from that area. They came down to the underpass where they were repeatedly offered services and housing alternatives and declined. We had a huge uptick in fires and crime. So we were able to do public safety findings and 4118 this area as well. So that encampment has now moved even further south down towards LAX. We continue to do outreach there, at least every week?
Every week or every other week as resources allow. We are actively looking for a more permanent solution, so stay tuned. We'll hopefully have some updates for you there very soon.
And just to echo on that, we are actually actively working with LAX and the mayor's team to get the help and the intervention that we need. And we're going to keep focusing on this until we get a result for you. Now we are directly across the street from Westchester Park over here behind the Bristol Farms. And this is an area where we used to have just a constant RV problem. And Trey, with your help, we've done a lot to fix the problem over here. What are some of the things that we did?
Yeah, we really have. So as you know, there's actually not a municipal code that regulates against vehicle dwelling. So we rely a lot on parking and enforcement to really handle the issue. So here at Bristol Farms, we worked with community members to install 2-hour parking signs all the way around Bristol Farms and the surrounding streets. That has significantly helped quell the RV issue around here. So that is just one thing that we have done. In addition, we continue to conduct regular vehicle operations across the district. If you'll remember, for many years along Airport Boulevard, there was a row of RVs that stayed there for a very long time. Eventually, through coordinated enforcement and one operation after another, we were able to clear that entire area. And so it's through things like this, working with our public safety partners, that we have been able to reduce the number of RVs here in Westchester by 40% this year.
That's amazing, Trey. So we continue to make progress, and we're not going to stop until we're done.